Imagine you build the engine for a Ferrari, you give away the blueprints for completely free, and then you watch everyone else speed past you with the prize money. You haven't made a single dime.
Yeah, that is, we're calling that the cosmos paradox. It's really the core of what we're looking at today.
Right, so welcome to today's deep dive. We've got a stack of reports from February 2026, and our mission today is exploring how the Cosmos Hub is basically overhauling its entire economic model.
Because the data is just undeniably clear here. The Cosmos tech stack, the SDK, it won the technology war. It powered massive chains like DYDX and Celestia.
But the Atom token captured almost zero value from all that success.
Almost zero, right.
Which is wild, because for years, Cosmos was all about this very idealistic Internet of Blockchains vision.
Very idealistic. But looking at the new roadmap and that January RFP, the whole vibe has shifted to what I'd call institutional pragmatism. The old model was just too leaky.
Leaky meaning developers used the free code, ignored Atom entirely, and the hub was just stuck with, 7 to 20% inflation?
Yeah, up to 20% just to keep the lights on. So the free lunch is officially over. They are moving to capture value through SDK licensing fees and enterprise tolls.
Basically turning open source code into a revenue machine. But what about the tech side? Because the sources emphasize the failure of replicated security. I thought that was their big selling point.
Well, it was a beautiful theory that just totally failed the market test. It was essentially a coerced mandate.
Right.
It forced every validator on the hub to run infrastructure for every single consumer chain, even if those chains were just unprofitable ghost towns.
So you're forcing businesses to run money-losing divisions. That's never going to work.
Exactly. Which brings us to the big shift in these documents, partial set security. PSS.
And there's this specific parameter mentioned, top_n. It sounds super technical, but it seems like the actual lever making this work.
It is the lever. Think of top N as a dial balancing security and cost. It lets the top percentage of validators handle the heavy lifting for the high security chains.
While the smaller guys can just opt out.
Yeah, they opt out of the heavy infra costs.
Yeah.
It unbundles the security offering, so validators only support what's actually profitable. It moves from a mandate to a free market.
Like a cafeteria plan. But while they're fixing the plumbing, the tenants are kind of moving out, right? We have to talk about Noble.
Oh, yeah. The ecosystem churn. Noble was the native issuer for USDC. Huge liquidity there.
And then in January, they announced this shock departure to the Ethereum ecosystem.
Citing fragmented liquidity. They literally said they needed to meet users where they are.
Which is a massive blow. But the hub isn't just taking it lying down. The counter move here is fascinating. They are acquiring Stargaze.
The premier NFT chain, yes. The hub is using its treasury to just straight up buy them.
Which is such a non-crypto move. Normally you fork a protocol, right? You don't buy a chain to migrate the user base. That's Web2 tech giant behavior.
It's corporate consolidation. Plain simple. Make Atom the default currency for those NFTs. Lock in the culture and the liquidity directly on the hub.
Stop the bleeding to competitors. And there's a huge macro tailwind here, too. Reading the legal memos on the Genius Act and the Clarity Act.
Game changers. The regulatory environment in the U.S. has completely flipped since 2025.
We're just impartially reporting what the memos say here, but the Genius Act for stablecoins and Clarity for digital assets essentially mean banks can finally play.
Because the legislation clarified that staking is not a security, so banks can use Cosmos proof of authority chains.
Permissioned environments.
Right, where they control the validators. They can launch compliant stablecoins and real-world assets without SEC fears.
So the open, permissionless Internet of Blockchains is becoming a compliant settlement layer for banks.
That is the bet. And with IBC Eureka, which is the new tech upgrade, these chains can finally talk directly to Solana and EVM chains without clunky bridges.
Tearing down the walls just as the institutions walk in. So for you listening, it really means the playground is closing and the business center is open.
It's a massive shift for the industry.
But it leaves us with this final thought for you to chew on. Can a decentralized protocol retroactively monetize open source technology without driving developers straight to cheaper centralized competitors?
That really is the gamble of the decade.